I'm Emily Schultz, the author of The Blondes. You're listening to the 2026 remaster of The Blondes podcast.
I'm Jennifer Lim, and Broad Strokes returns this week to conclude our series on Hazel Hayes and the future of SHV. But first, we've been asked to air an important message from our sponsor, Flow.
I think most of you know by now that Frieda Wells did not live her brand this week. No. Frieda Wells failed the brand. My flow was blocked, and everyone who attended the Lux Festival suffered so much. I am here to take responsibility for what was my fault, and I will. But there's still a lot of misinformation right now. You know, an IG story showing rabid models tearing a goat apart on a beach doesn't tell the whole story. Poor Bailey. Why did they film the story with the sound on? It made it so much worse. Okay. As for what we did wrong, turns out the island was not a former leper colony, it's a current one, and the lepers didn't want to share their colony with 1,600 blonde fluencers in Gucci flip-flops. To be honest, they were treating us like a bunch of no matter. That was our fault. But Shelby Brown, she canceled her performance on Twitter. Didn't even show up. If you ask me, that's raging out behavior. I'd keep an eye on that one. Our guest speaker, who I was told was an influential, did show up, but she was some poor girl named Hazel. Not even 1,000 IG followers. Like, bitch, buy them. It's not even a pair of shoes. While I'm dealing with all this, I see the chelation hot tubs turned out to be surplus home birthing pools. Oh, not even cleaned up. I saw poop. I did. I freaked out. I went to the tantric yacht because it was the only place that had Wi-Fi, and then Mackenzie, our yogini, didn't tell anyone she had a fever. Apparently earth-shattering orgasms can put the virus into hypertransmission. Blondes were all over the ship, humping every surface. The entire crew dead. Captain Lee, I'm so sorry. I did what I had to. I went with the flow and jumped in the water and swam from the island. I thank my daily use of Flow Glow and CoQ10 for the increased stamina. But still, if a cruiser from the Martinique Navy hadn't found me, I survived that night, but I don't know if the goats will ever stop screaming. Oh, I still believe in Flow, and I hope you do as well. Today's promo code is not all blondes. 10% off and free shipping.
Compelling stuff from Frieda Wells. With us here in our studio today, we're talking with Hazel Hayes, the young woman at the center of this story.
I decided that I'm going in. I stole the keys. I'm going to get Jordan out because it's the one right thing I'll have done with my life. I'll leave this phone where you told me to hide it, and I really hope this all gets out there.
That was where we last left her story on Broad Strokes, but she survived, becoming a cause célèbre, and then a celebrity herself. In the aftermath of the viral disaster of the Lux Festival, she has agreed to answer questions. Welcome to Broad Strokes, Hazel.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You were a lightning rod for the movement against the evaluation centers. Your recordings were galvanizing, your honesty inspiring. We learned about you, your relationships, But recently you've come under fire from both your supporters and from conspiracy communities. People are discussing you, Hazel. Why?
Community is a weird word to describe those men. Do you think that they're having a potluck when they're doxing my address?
We try to present stories fairly, even when one side is less likable.
I never asked to be likable or unlikable. I just wanted to survive. I was pregnant and I was completely alone and I was going out of my mind. I never thought that I'd become a public figure, whatever that means.
Some have said you wanted just that. The Root Radicals did denounce you with the hashtag Hollywood Hazel. They said you were profiting on the outbreak by signing with an agency and selling your life story.
Anytime I've appeared in public, I only wanted to use my platform to help women. I shouldn't be punished for it. Besides, the TV deal is dead. They said that there was no way to tell my story.
I find that hard to believe.
I asked for a woman to make it, like Corinne Kusama or Lynn Ramsey, but they hired some guy whose last credit was Fantasy Island's final season, the one without tattoo.
Oh.
They wanted to change my job from being a teacher to something else because educated women come off as bitchy. You can't root for them. I got upset. I yelled that I worked my way to grad school by waiting tables. And they clapped their hands and stood up. Awesome! Hazel Hayes is a waitress at a small cafe with a funky group of friends trying to make it in the music biz. Carl was also a problem. Too creepy, they said. They made him into my scientist boyfriend searching for a cure for the virus, and it turns out that I'm the cure to it.
The chosen one narrative.
If you're a woman who can't pay her rent, who has choices taken away from her, you're not going to discover that you have secret superpowers someday. You're going to discover that you have my credit rating and your gynecologist is Mitch McConnell.
Just go back to your relationship with Carl. Did you ever speak to him before he died?
I only learned about what happened after I got out. I don't know if the picture of him out there is fair, and I don't know how much of that is my fault because of what I talked about on the tapes.
How did you feel about the investigation Discovery show that aired recently?
Tonight on Exterminating Angels, one college professor won't live to tell.
911, what's your emergency?
Oh my god. They're killing him. They're tearing him apart.
They're killing who, ma'am? What is the location of your emergency?
I'm in a closet. Vogue Madonna was hitting him. I thought she was just expressing herself. Then True Blue ate his face.
What is your name?
I'm breathless.
Just try to breathe.
No, I'm playing Breathless Madonna.
Excuse me?
Professor Carl Mann tried to justify his love for risky sex with untreated blondes. He was ultimately killed by it when he hired 4 escorts to dress in Madonna's signature looks.
My name is really Kayla. I don't even know who Madonna is. He just made us dress like her.
Tonight, on Exterminating Angels, we'll go deeper and deeper into human nature for a bedtime story you won't forget.
For the record, I would like to say that I do not own lingerie like the actress playing me had in that episode. I tend to mix and match my underwear vintages.
Do you feel bad for his wife, Wanda Kovacs?
Of course I do. But she would hate that I feel that way, I know, because she told me that.
You're friends with Wanda still.
She helped me after I got out of quarantine. She's the one who told me to get an agent and said that I could sell my story and help save other women. I know people want her to hate me, the woman who her husband cheated on her with, but reality is different than our fears.
How about the women who could not be saved? Like the girl in the quarantine? Jordan? We don't have to talk about this.
You really don't know what sacrifices you'll make in this life until you see.
Is this because of room 3? What did you see inside there?
It was a gym, like at any school. But it was dark in there. The light from the hallway fell away after a few feet. I stepped in and I tried to listen. But it was that kind of quiet where you can hear the blood in your head. I looked around and I thought that there'd be beds in there, but there weren't, and I wondered where they kept the blondes, the women. I remembered that phrase, down, distressed, or dead, and wondered if everyone in there had died. I whispered Jordan's name. I was afraid of being too loud. I walked deeper into the gym and the door shut behind me. I stood still. There was the red exit light on, and in a minute I could see a little more. Then I slipped in something wet. Because of the red light, I didn't know what it was. Was it blood or was it pee? She ran at me until the chain stopped her. I scrambled back and I fell on the ground, and then a woman from the other side of the room ran at me. They were both stopped, and I was in the middle. I was in the middle of them on the floor when I realized that they were chained to the basketball nets. Neither of them was Jordan. They were two women whose hair that I had cut the week before, and now they were straining against chains like magic show tigers. And I saw things on the ground. It looked like garbage, but I knew that it was pieces of people. I guess other women that had got loose. I stopped. I was too afraid to move anymore. Someone pushed the door open and I could see outside again. I looked up and it was Jordan. She had that blonde look on her face, the glassy eyes, runny nose. Her chain was broken, and I was afraid of her. But she stood there and she held the door open because she recognized me. I know she did. I went in to save Jordan, but she saved me. I crawled out into the hallway. The door shut and I lay there until I doubled up in pain. It was contractions. I tried to count weeks, whether this was normal or not, but I blacked out. I only remember the alarm going off. The women were escaping.
And then what happened?
I woke up in a hospital room. It looked like a real one, not like the classrooms at but I wasn't pregnant anymore. What woke me up was the kicking. My belly was flat, but I felt the kicks still. I tried to sit up, but when I moved, I screamed from the pain. I looked down and there were staples below my stomach. A nurse ran in and pushed me back down on the bed, and I yelled at her, "Where's the baby? Where is it?" She left me alone, and I remembered thinking of what happened in that last week of quarantine, those conversations I started having with it. I whispered that if we both survived, I'd kiss their forehead. I'd let them grab my fingers and not tell them how terrible the world is as long as possible. The nurse came back in and I yelled all the questions I could. "Where am I? Who are you?" She held out her phone and showed me a picture of a baby in an incubator. "This is your daughter," she said. Max was paying for everything, and I could see her just as soon as some tests were done. I laid in the bed and waited. It was hours, and she said, "More tests," and the next day it was more tests, and that night I got up and looked out the door. I wasn't in a hospital. It was more like an office building. My room was the only one with a bed. I think that there was even a meeting room. I stumbled down the hallway and went down to the next room. Through the window, I saw Ripley.
Is Ripley your child?
That's what I told myself I would name her if she survived. After Ellen Ripley and Alien.
And she was in the room next to yours.
They had so many tubes in her. And I thought, my God, she's not going to make it. But it wasn't drugs they were pumping into her. They were taking her blood. During all my weeks in quarantine, they said I had antibodies that protected me from the virus, but it was really Ripley giving them to me. She had a genetic mutation that meant the virus couldn't reproduce. I wanted to take her and leave, but they said I couldn't. Her blood could be a treatment, if not a cure.
You really weren't the chosen one.
No, but I was related to the chosen one. Like a stage mother.
Is Ripley alive?
She is.
And has she contributed to treatment?
She is the treatment. Oh, God, I'm gonna do it, aren't I?
Do what, Hazel?
Break my NDA with Glosamax?
We can stop if you want to consult with a lawyer.
No, it's okay. Twice a day, they take blood that's spun into blood serum. That's where her antibodies are. And that's Glosamax. That's all they have to stop SHV, my daughter's blood. She has a port, so the blood draws don't hurt. She lives at Glosamax. It's a good room. She got a dollhouse. I didn't want her to have one, but there it was. You try to protect your kids from gendered toys, but if it's not grandma buying it for them, it's some pharmaceutical company gifting it to them.
Why are you letting this happen? Are you letting it happen?
Without Ripley, women would die. The evaluation centers would come back. She'll know that one day, and she'll understand. I still see her every day at the lab. For the first year, I would feed her right after a blood draw. We'd sit in the rocking chair and look out at the city through the floor-to-ceiling window. We'd be lost with each other. There was no disease, no doctors, and I'd practiced telling her that Carl died in a car accident. Absolutely, it was a car accident.
We're going to take a quick break for a final word from Flo.
Hey guys, it's Frieda. I know that last message was super dramatic, but I'm okay now that I'm reading so many of your DMs. Your support for me is a gift, and it's helped me decide that I don't live in negative energy space. I live in a compound in Calabasas, and honey, tweets can't make it over electric fencing. 90% of the people will be really excited about Flo and where that journey goes from here. That's who I'm focusing on now, the 90%. And we have a discount makeup line just for you. It's called Woke Eye, and I'm going to try it right now live on the air. It has an antimicrobe base where you need it, around the vulnerable transmission areas. Goes great with our Plum Island lipstick. Ow! After the sting goes away, you'll have perfect woke eye, super cheap. However, the FDA has asked us to alter our flow code, so remember, Live your brand. But please be aware that feeling love, openness, and wellness is not a replacement for a doctor-prescribed treatment or therapy according to the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994, Section 403. Wow, my eyes are going a little buggy. Woke eye.
We have breaking news. I've just received word that Tim K. Rylander has died. The controversial podcaster was taken to hospital last week, and he is the first known cis man to have died of a blonde-related infection. They suspect it's from ingesting a large amount of hair during a podcast stunt. Obviously, this adds a new dimension to the story of the blonde virus, and certainly that the ideas of gender aren't as settled as our culture wants them to be. This is a question we're probably going to have to come back to. Hazel, before we go, do you have thoughts on this development?
I guess they might actually find a cure now.
They're calling it the Twink Terror. Random attacks by young blonde men. USC flu. The Guy Fury. Is it SHV or something new?
The Davos conference in Switzerland erupted in bloodshed today with billionaires attacking.
Officials are asking people to avoid art schools, guitar centers, Abercrombie & Fitch, and Jeep dealerships. All places young blonde men gather.
Thank you for calling CDC Info, a service of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. CDC is now closed. If this is a medical emergency, please hang up and dial 911.
You've been listening to the final episode of The Blondes, based on the novel by Emily Schultz. This episode was performed by Madeline Zima, Helen Hong, Yvonne Zima, Dana Berger, Jenny Grace, Carson Elrod, Bree Elrod, and Cecilia Corrigan. It was written by Brian J. Davis and Emily Schultz. It was directed by Brian J. Davis. Duncan Birmingham was executive producer and Jenny Grace consulting producer. Music for this series was composed by Oldfather. Editing and sound design was by Brian J. Davis. The Blondes is now available from Picador Books. Please keep listening. After the credits will be a talk between creators Emily Schultz and Brian J. Davis about adapting the book and creating this podcast. Thank you for listening.